So I woke up this morning, realized it's Sunday and I'm in Oklahoma City, so it's a good day to work on the Pro Mod. It's a good day. It's also kind of a bad day, as you see. We've been having a lot of rain here lately and did our best to cover up the Pro Mod with this here tarp. Something tells me though that it's not going to be pretty underneath it, so got it drug inside here. It's raining right now, but we're going to make a mess of this floor, get this tarp pulled off here and see how bad it is. So as you can see, frame's pretty rusty. It's nothing terrible, just a little bit of flash fresh from being outside. I don't know how much good the tarp did, but it's something that happens, something we're gonna have to deal with, so we'll just go on from here. This weekend, I'm gonna try to finish up some of the tubing work that I forgot last weekend. Throw in some more 1-inch diagonals, some X's, stuff like that, stiffen this back end up. But I am gonna try to get the 4-link going on this. We've been doing a lot of reading, which may or may not be a good thing. So we're gonna be doing a lot of both street and strip racing with this thing. And from what I've been reading, that requires kind of two different 4-links. A lot of guys will swear by an equal bar 4-link for one. And some people say you need a lot shorter uppers for the other. Basically, it has to do with instant center and separation, how you want the tire to plant when you take off. So what I'm gonna do is build brackets on the car for equal length arms, but we will have an intermediate bracket thing that bolts to those and then thus makes our upper bar shorter. That way we kind of get the best of both worlds, since this thing's not really going to be have one set task. Back home I sketched up something I think is going to work, so I'm going to go ahead and go on the plasma table, blow it out of sheet metal, kind of tack it on here, build some bars, check the swing of everything, check that everything's going to work, and then if that does, I'll go back home, have a laser, burn them out with a bit more precision, and then get those put on. So here I've got the 4-link mocked up at ride height. Ride height on this blazer is going to be about 3 inches off the ground. I think that's the minimum legal height they'll allow you on most tracks, so that's what we're going to aim for there. Of course, got the lower bar parallel with the ground. Upper bar's got our instant center about where the mid plate's at. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that's a good place to start. That's kind of where I've always understood where instant center should be. So at that point, we'll tune from there. Like I said, we'll even have a bracket that bolts in on these new upper mounts here and actually moves the pivot back further to where we can get a shorter upper. And there we can really start messing around with instant centers and anti-squat, stuff like that. This being ride height, this thing being on air though, means that this thing will actually travel up. We've got about that much room when the blazer's laid out. So that's looking pretty good too. Wheelie bar should still fit in the back end. Is pretty happy with this at this point. We'll just keep going with it. So after I ironed out my idea with the 4-link, I'm pretty happy with that. We're gonna wait, go home, laser cut these brackets, laser cut me some, I don't know what you'd call it, some sandwich pieces to make it extra thick where the bolts are. Probably some gussets, stuff like that. Bring that all back with me next time. After I figured that out, I figured I'd go ahead and start throwing some more gusset tubes back in this back end here. Got me a big X here in the floor, got me a bulkhead here, threw in some Z's in the back. Ran out of tubing pretty quick. Looking around, can't find no more 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Got some 1 5/8, but we're not needing that right now, so got to keep pressing on with this thing with the limited time I got. So I'm going to get back on the front end. Ended up finding all my spindles and everything, wheels and tires from last time, so I'm going to mock the front end up one more time and get to working on the shocks. I know I said I was going to be pretty pressed for space for those, so I'm going to try to figure out passenger side first and then see if it translates to the driver's side. After that, probably call it a good weekend down here for that matter. We'll try to get the rear end ordered in here for next time. Might even get some steering parts, figure out the steering shaft, stuff like that up front. Just keep plugging away at it. So another Sunday, another trip to the city. Gotta be honest, gotta come clean with y'all. That last segment was recorded about early November. Made it down there, got some work done. Just kind of got to a stopping point. Wasn't really happy with how much content I had to make that one video, so I thought I'll be back down there a few more weeks, get some more content, make the video. Just give you an idea of how infrequent I can make it down there to work on that thing. It is February 2nd now, and this is the first opportunity I've had to get down there since early November. So with holidays and just family, everything else taking time up, it's just a little hard to get down there every now and then. So I get it. Working content's not coming at you as fast as it should, but just what I can do. So get down there this weekend, try to get a lot done. Jake called me, said we got some more tubing, so I'm going to try to get get some more bracing done in the frame. Put an X kind of back behind her head. Try to get my last door bar put in. Just might do some more gusseting, stuff like that. He also said we got a steering column in, so I'm going to try to get that mounted, maybe even try to get some of the linkage sorted out. We've been having an issue trying to find a U-joint that fits the rack. Should be a generic part, but for whatever reason it's not. So get that done, try to get some more finish welding maybe. If we can get the column put in, I'm going to try to get some seats maybe figured out. I know we've got about 22 inches to work with in the funny car cage, so hopefully we can find a seat that'll fit in there. I also got the 4-link brackets and a couple of cage connectors with me, so hopefully I can get the 4-link brackets put in it and get the training crossmember made where we can actually have the mounted training, because right now it's just kind of hanging by the mid plate. Get all that done so I can plan in the future, try to plan the center spine bar tubes, maybe some safety hoops for the drive shaft, whatnot. Just keep plugging at it. So here's to this weekend, hopefully we can get a lot done. I'll tell you one thing about going down here to the city is the drive. I hate the drive down here. It's just nothing to look at, boring, flat. The dirt's red. Why is the dirt red? Doesn't make no sense. But I will tell you the one thing that does make it worth it, this right here. Butcher Stand Barbecue, Wellston, Oklahoma. Gotta stop and get you some. I'll stop and get me some. Gonna be miserable the rest of the trip. It is worth it. So last time I was down here, I had some 4-link brackets designed up in sheet metal, liked how they come out, so I went home, had them water jetted out of 3/16. Got them together now. They're on the frame, happy. They look pretty good. Now that they're tacked in, mocked up, I'm gonna try to get a couple more link bars made. That way we have all 4 of them, and then try to get Jake to order the rear end so we can get that placed under the back end. Also snagged these jazzy little tube connectors. You normally see these on like razors, side-by-side, stuff like that. Just something to mount 2 tubes together where you can break them apart. Found a set of these. They're actually chromoly, so we're gonna make these into our transmission cross member. I'm gonna make a tube that basically drops out of the middle and has a standoff above it that goes up to the tranny mount. Here I got the tranny mount in, just a pretty simple mount, just straight tube up, plate to bolt directly with the tranny. I'll probably go back later on and throw in a couple either triangle gusset tubes or a plate of some sort, but for now this is what we're going to come up with. The frame rails are made out of 1 5/8" tubing, but my cross member is 1 1/4". And I did that because that means that the 1 1/4" will be up off the ground a little bit. We're going to come in here and make a removable section of the floor underneath the transmission where if we have to service it, we can just drop that pan instead of the entire floor, drop the tranny cross member, and drop the tranny, of course. So having that tube cross member up off the ground means that there's one less place we have to break the floor pan. I can have a floor pan straight all the way from the mid plate up here all the way back to this intersection in the middle. While I was down this weekend, I had some extra tubing, so I went ahead and threw in this rear X brace over the back end. I don't know what you want to call it, the rear window area, but this truck has no rear window in the usual area, so just an extra X helps stiffen up the rear end. And we'll probably keep this back end open. We'll probably put in a fuel cell in here somewhere, up here in the middle. We'll probably do some air tanks, compressors. I'm not quite sure yet, so I don't want to go putting X's where I don't know what we're going to do yet. So that's the plan for now. I'll probably come back on this X and put in another tube going from here up across to the other halo bar. Just make sure nothing moves if we ever do get in a wreck. Having your skull right there, probably not a good idea having anything move around that. So throw in an extra tube there and just keep on trucking with it. As you can see, this rust is really getting to be a pain in the ass. Just kind of something we have to deal with. It's sitting outside for so long between work sessions, it's going to get a little flash rusty. So I'll keep wire wheeling it, maybe throw some WD on it. I don't know, just eventually we're going to have it sandblasted when we powder coat it anyway, so as long as we don't get no major pitting, it should be fine. So I've moved on to the steering here. We got our steering column in, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all this hooked up. Got our rack mounted, of course. Got all of our U-joints, 3/4 inch double D shaft. I ran into a slight problem. When using more than just 2 U-joints, you have to have an intermediate swivel, intermediate mount, whatever you want to call it. Keeps the shaft from just rocking around and you feel it in the column. So what I got to do is basically mount a Heim joint somewhere in line of this intermediate shaft. And about the only way I can get that done is I got to drill a hole through the tube here and pass a threaded bung up inside of it, basically where I can mount a Heim in the frame like that. Didn't have a whole lot of room to fit this. Its shaft runs pretty close to our upper rail here and our diagonal bar. I couldn't really tab it. I couldn't really just chop this down and use a real short nut or anything like that. So I think this would be a lot stronger than the alternative anyway. Took a little more work, but I think it'll definitely be worth it. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is pass this bung up into the frame rail, tack it in, weld it real good, and then I'll go back and weld the top up here, sand it all flush, and you'll never even know it's there. How that come out. Now hopefully it doesn't mess with my shock mount too much. The shock's going to be right about here, so I'm hoping that shaft misses it. If not, we'll just we'll move the shock, make it work. So that'll do it for this episode. I'm going to go ahead and do a bit more finish welding on this cage, maybe throw in a kidney bar and hit the road. Hopefully between now and next time I can get the seats ordered and in. We'll tackle mounting those, and then I can move on to the center spine bars and all the safety hoops and everything for the drive shaft, gusset up the 4-link area a bit more. Just keep going on all that stuff. So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends, hell, tell your mom, tell everybody you can. And we will see you next time on another episode.